Hey everybody, it's me, Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, and empowerment coach. Welcome back. It's May 10th, 2018, and I'm here with your weekly angel guidance by astrological sign. Before I start today, I want to let you know about some things that are coming up. For us in the United States, it's May 15th. If you're international, you may want to look around that date. What's happening out in the sky is the planet Uranus, which is the seventh planet from the sun. It's a slow-moving planet. It takes 84 years to do its complete cycle around the Earth and the zodiac signs, and it will be moving into the sign of Taurus from Aries. It's been in Aries for the last 8 years on May 15th. So let me just give you a brief idea about what Uranus is about. Uranus is a planet that it defies tradition. It rules technology, the internet, electricity. It wants freedom and unconventional thinking. During this next 8-year cycle, being in the sign of Taurus, Taurus itself loves the earthly senses, to touch, to smell, the richness, taste, everything that has to do with earthly pleasures. It's ruled by Venus. It likes security. It likes the comfort of home. It's a fixed sign, so it likes to, in some respects, know the landscape of where it is. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic between these two elements. Uranus, kind of asking for freedom and change and to break up tradition, to actually look at things and say, is this still working, or is this just a bad habit we have? And then Taurus is going to be like, well, I'm used to this habit. I'm used to this way of being. I kind of like this. So we're going to see a lot of innovation, a lot of change. We'll probably see a lot of transitioning in our financial ways of doing things. You guys might have heard of Bitcoin. So there's going to be some things going on with electronic money. I think they're trying to phase out the paper money. We'll see a lot more innovation in the way we do business, in banking, things that are ruled by the earth. Taurus loves beauty, so we're going to see probably a lot of things moving towards organic beauty products, a more organic way of dealing with our beauty and our health. And we're going to see a little bit of change within our food, maybe a lot of change, really looking at what those labels are saying and about genetically modified things and the whole idea of shipping foods 3,000 miles, hundreds of miles, I don't know. I'm trying to say across the world, hundreds of miles isn't that bad. Anyway, so that's what we're going to go through for the next 8 years. It's going to be varying degrees of these sort of changes. So you might already notice that Uber's talking about this flying car. So yeah, things are going to be very interesting. All right, so let's dig into it and get it. Let's start with Aries. Do our 4-card spread for today. You can see little man Lucky is holding his position over on the couch over there. See him? Right there, that's his position. Whoops, I don't know how to do the circle. Anyway, all right, let's pull up 4 cards for Aries. What's going on for you this week? Interesting, Aries. Okay. So in the first position, we have Archangel Uriel. And Archangel Uriel will deal with frustration, anger, kind of, I almost feel like I got a stop for Aries. It's as if Aries is like, as a collective, not being able to move forward as quickly as you'd like to. There's other elements going on astrologically. Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. Mars is action-oriented. Mars is in its shadow period, I believe, which means that Mars is about to go retrograde for quite a few months. Being in the shadow period, it is slowing down its motion, and so I can imagine that many of you are frustrated because you're trying to move forward and you can't. So in our opportunity, our obstacle is the card Opal. Opal will talk about your children being safe on heaven and earth, but I really think this is about having a childlike innocence during this sort of period of frustration. Really allowing yourself to know that, okay, if things aren't happening right now, they're going to happen. It's happening. It may not be right in this minute. Because Francesca in the angel's advice is saying for you to visualize what you want, that negativity is actually like putting a big cog in the wheel. It's not helping. Oftentimes when there is a pause, there is a divine wisdom that we cannot see that could in many ways save us money, save us even more time down the line. It's just something we can't quite anticipate. And then that goes back to this whole Uranus stuff. Aries, Uranus has been in your sign for the last 8 years. You've probably gone through tons of change, tons of things that you didn't expect. For me, as an Aries rising, I started my business within the last 8 years. I lost my father in the last 8 years. There was a lot of unexpected change within my family. I bring this up because Caressa is in the final position, and she says that you're at the end of a life cycle and to call upon God and the angels to comfort you because there's new happiness that awaits you. So if you find that, you're just at the end of your rope, you're sort of over this whole thing, I want you to know that in some respects, things are going to get a little bit easier for Aries in general. There will be a period when Uranus will retrograde back into Aries for a little while, but after that, it should be all of the jarring changes that have been going on should relax. So I would offer that Aries put in a little bit more, or not more, but trust that their focus and their intention is coming to fruition and that God is in charge of the timing of all that. All right, let's go on to Taurus. So this is going to be an interesting cycle for you, Taurus. I think as I recall, last week we talked about trying to be really flexible during these changes. So again, this is kind of going to be reminiscent of, when I say flexible, it's kind of funny. As I started to say it, I could feel the angel saying it's not flexible in your physical being, it's flexible in your thought. It's that flexible, hey, maybe these changes are for the better. Maybe these changes are moving me from a place that was of contentment, but it wasn't of fulfillment. All right, let's see what the 4 cards are. All right, Xana comes up in the foundational position. Chantal comes up in the opportunity or the obstacle. Maya is in the angel's advice, and the final card is Shanti. Well, this is kind of fun. Xana in the foundational position talks about protection, and I really don't think about that as physical protection, although that is included within her energy, but it's more about spiritual, mental, emotional protection. I want you guys to know that I think many Taurians have already been going through some jarring changes and some unexpected dynamics. And so this is ushering in a new era for you, because in the opportunity, the obstacle is Chantal, and she's the angel of romance. She'll talk about the resurgence of a current romance or someone coming in. And while that may be true for a lot of you, I do think that this protection card in the form of Xana indicates a new sense of self, a new sense of love of self, because I have Maya in the angel's advice, and I feel like this week is going to kind of put a button on the idea of what you've been learning, Taurus, about your own energy, and in that respect allowing you to feel better about yourself through whatever changes have been going on. Because in the final position I have Shanti. Shanti is the angel of peace, but that peace can't come in before whatever has been disrupting the peace moves out. So here we have it. Xana saying that you're protected. I don't know how to do these cards so you can see them. And then Shanti saying that to trust that you are, there's a bigger story being told for you, a bigger story that your higher self has called forth, because you're kind of tired of whatever the old story is. But yet that old story provided a sense of security, but was it real security? Because I really do think you guys are going to start to love yourselves more, and that's going to open you up to more love outside of yourselves. All right, let's go on to Gemini. What's going to be going on for Gemini? The first card is Grace and Antoinette in the foundational position. The second card is Celeste in the opportunity and or the obstacle. The third card in the angel's advice is Teresa And the final card is Isaiah. So I want to say this for you, Gemini. Grace and Antoinette is a card of compassion. It's a card of asking you to look at things from another person's point of view. And oftentimes when I see it, I think it's about having compassion for self. In the Angel's Advice, I have Celeste, which is a card that talks about a new move to a new home or a new place of employment. But more so for me, it's about the way I think. Because wherever I am, I think, my perspective is my perspective, and my happiness is contingent upon my viewpoint and my perspective. So for me, it feels like Grace and Antoinette is referring to compassion for you as you vacillate back and forth between trying to make a shift in the way that you want your life to go. And you're sort of weighing the pros and the cons. And I feel like in some respects you may be more weighing the cons and the unknown and the what ifs. I have Teresa in the Angel's Advice, and that's a card of worry. It's also a card of taking care of other people, and it's time to take care of myself. In this position, I think there may be a lot of you that are considering how your decisions will land on other people. Now, while you have those of you that have, are in marriages or are in relationships or have children, so there are other people's opinions and lives that you must consider. I do think that the angels are asking you to truly consider your own, what you want for yourself. It's almost as if there's too many people giving you their opinions, and it's actually creating more confusion or more indecision, or your contemplation of their opinions, their reactions are creating more indecision. Because Isaiah is in the final position, and Isaiah is saying it's really time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. We are going into a whole new year cycle, and Gemini, for you, I think there's a lot of you that are going to be going through a metamorphosis. It's almost as if the end of this 8 years, you will be different on the inside as well as on the outside. And I think these are, I see a butterfly in my mind's eye. So some of this may feel a little uncomfortable at first, but at the end of it, I think you'll all have new wings to fly. And in that respect, floating on the airwaves a little bit easier, because what I think the metamorphosis comes from is a way of taming the mind from going to great extremes in its contemplation to something more balanced. All right, let's go on to our Cancers. Oops. All right, Cancer, what does Spirit have to say for you for this week? I want to say this, if indeed you're a man, you may want to check your sun, and if you're a woman, check your moon. The sun rules the man's emotion, and the moon sort of rules the woman emotion in those feminine energies. Did you see Lucky just move? Oh, he's so cute. I love him. All right, here we go. Cancer. Card number 1 is Caressa. You are at the end of a life cycle. Card number 2 is Athena, telling you it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Omega is in the Angel's Advice, which is a card of victory. And the final card for this week is Maya. Very interesting for me. So Cancer, what I want to say is many of you, again, I can't help but refer to this big 8-year cycle that is changing the way we're going to look at the world. And I think what Caressa is saying is that it's time for some of you Cancers to, I don't want to say break away from the past, but to allow it to be there in the past. It's time for you to lovingly assert yourself to new dreams, new things you want in your life, because that's where your happiness will truly lie. And you will have learned a lot about yourself as a result of it. I'm getting the strongest feeling about sort of seeing my dad's passing, and how that affected our family, and how many people are still so acutely 7 years later living in the grief and the mourning of his passing. And I don't think that he would want that. I think he would want us to look to the future and to evolve and to thrive. And so I just want to offer those of you who are going through changes, they feel like changes that you don't really particularly like. but to allow these changes to be a platform for you to really dig deep into what you want and then to walk that direction, to give life to that, to really assert yourself, because at the end of that, I think you'll have not only learned a lot about yourself, I think you'll be proud of yourself. So this week might be time to give life to that very idea. So I'm going to end on this sort of example. If for some reason you've been in a situation where you have been mourning the past, giving life to the future is not so much in how it looks, but how it feels. How do you feel moving forward? That sense of peace, connectedness, loved, being seen, all of that good stuff. All right, let's move on to Leo. Here we go, Leo. All right, Leos. First card is Aurora. The second card is Indriel. The third card is Archangel Raphael. And the final card is Adriana. This is interesting to me because Aurora talks about you're flying high right now. It may make other people feel uncomfortable, but continue on because you will be soon set an example and they will be inspired by that example. And it's really, to me, about Indriel's and the opportunity, the obstacle. And she's talking about shining your light, allowing yourself. So, you know, Leo, you're born under the sun. It's the most powerful planet in our solar system here, and I think that Spirit is really asking you to shine that light. There's allowing yourself to, and this is not about lighting so big that you're overwhelming other people's light. This is about your light, about you kind of reveling in your own creation, because I've got Adriana in the final position saying that she's leading you towards the answers to your prayers through your dreams and your desires. And I think that this is again, feels very much like an internal, childlike thing that you've wanted to do that, let's just say, you've always wanted to sing. You always felt like you had a good voice in some way, and you wanted to just kind of poke around that little dream and dust that off. I think you may find more talent as you release yourself and your insecurities or your how you'll land on somebody else, and just allow yourself to bring forth your talents, because to me that's going to spawn you onto new things, new exciting things. Real quickly, I'll just show you. Aurora is flying high. She's leapt off of the balcony. Indriel is saying to shine your light, and you can see she's glowing from the top of her head, and through that you feel a sense of self. Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing, but this is more than just physical healing. It's almost as if by allowing yourself to leap off the balcony, your body responds in kind to that joy, and that's why I feel like you're being led by joy. All right, let's move on to Virgo. Let's see what's happening for our Virgo friends this week. All right. In the first position, we have Archangel Gabriel. In the second position, we have Isabella. In the third position, we have Yvonne. And in the final position, we have Archangel Raphael. Okay, Virgo. You know, Archangel Gabriel talks about having an important life's purpose involving communications and the arts. But she also talks about not being or trying to release your insecurities to her. Allow her to have you experience more confidence in moving forward. And I think this is about how you're communicating with yourself, because Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right for this new adventure and to expect a happy outcome. And Yvonne is saying, but you must be vulnerable to that. You know, Virgo, you guys like to know where you're going. You kind of like to have a plan. You kind of like to get out the little roadmap and say, okay, we'll stop here to eat. We'll get gas over here. We'll arrive at our destination here. I think this is a little bit more loosey-goosey, because here's Archangel Raphael offering a physical healing. As you engage in Archangel Gabriel's asking you to look at your inner dialogue and to say that every once in a while it's kind of fun to draw in broader strokes. You don't have to give up your roadmap. You just don't know how, you just don't have to know every twist and turn. It's kind of like saying that there are many roads that lead to a destination. Allow yourself a little bit of meandering and watch your inner dialogue. Watch where you're starting to bite because you don't know where exactly you're going, or you've turned down the wrong street, metaphorically. You get a little bunched up in your head and you like get a little It's all good. It's all good. Just take a deep breath. You'll recalibrate, and know that as you do that, this is offering you an opportunity to watch how you process, how your mind talks to you during times of stress or unknowingness or transition. All right, guys, let's go on to Libra. The first card is Merlina. The second card is Shanti. The third card is Archangel Raphael. And the final card is Archangel Michael. This is funny because as I pulled Merlina, Merlina is a card of indecision. Libras are notorious for being indecisive because they are the scales weighing the pros and the cons. Merlina says that Libra is indecisive because you don't have enough information. Seek expert advice. Do some research. For me, this is really a little bit about a period of time where I almost feel like when Merlina's saying do research, she's almost saying, and look deeper. Don't do just superficial research. Look a little bit deeper, because there's an opportunity for moving into a new period of peace. Now, it's funny because I started this video talking about Uranus and all this unexpected change. This peace doesn't come because the outside world is changing. The peace comes because the inside world is more in tune to how it chooses to process it. So here's Archangel Raphael saying that there is a healing to be had, and in that healing comes more peace. And Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage to dig deeper, to do that, to do the work that builds the core of who you are, and not on the physical plane, on the spiritual, emotional, and mental plane. Because as you do that, and as you dig deeper into why things are happening, as you watch your energetic, sometimes your indecision, Libra, creates or helps facilitate more indecision. So as you check into that, and then you sort of allow spirit to say, you say which way to go, and then you get this nudge and you start to trust that. I think you'll be more courageous in that unknowing knowing. All right, let's go on to Scorpio. Looks like it's going to be an interesting week. I really feel like things might be calming down. It's been a rough beginning, end of the winter, beginning of spring has been astrologically like walking through mud. My boots keep getting stuck. So I think we're going to get a little bit of a reprieve. All right. Scorpio. Oh, look at that. Interesting how the cards come up. Okay, so in the initial position, the foundational position is Yvonne. Yvonne to me is always a card of vulnerability, always a card of digging deep to what do I really want? What do I, being vulnerable to that, being like, meaning I want it, I have to have it, I can't live without it. Because here's Merlina again. Merlina was just here with Libra. You're talking about being indecisive. And I think that indecision is because we're not quite sure how to assert ourselves right now towards what we want. Scorpio, I think that in some respects, you guys are frustrated, and as a collective, that frustration is fogging things up. You know, just because you haven't seen fruits for your labors, or you haven't created that relationship yet, or that great job, or whatever it is you want to manifest, this is no time to give up on your dreams. This is no time to dumb down. This is no time to settle. It's time to actually use a little bit of that piss and vinegar that you guys have and use it to tell the universe, hey, I'm not messing around anymore. This is what I want. This is what I want to experience, and this is how it feels when I get it. Chop, chop. Let's move along. Because this is where I actually think Spirit is saying, don't do research on the outside. Come to us. Assert yourself strongly in the things that you want, and then stand in excited expectation for them. So if you're looking for a relationship, get excited about somebody coming in, and think of like today is, one of the last few days I'm going to be single. Because pretty soon I'm going to meet someone and settle in and compromise and do all the fun things in a relationship. All right, that's just an example. It could be in your work. It could be in any area. All right, let's move on to Sagittarius. I've been so lucky with the construction, and they're back to banging. All right, Sagittarius. First card is Opal. Second card is Sonia. Third card is Crystal. And the final card is Ariel. All right, so I know I'm kind of repeat myself, but I can't help it. When I do a collective reading and I see Opal, I don't really think about it as children that you've given birth to on the earth. I really think about it as the inner child. It could very well pertain to your own children, but as a collective, the inner child gets lost so often. And that's the part of us that believes in magic. It's the part of us that plays. It's the part of us that colors outside the lines. And I think it's really, really important for you, Sagittarius, to allow for that, because here I have your spirit guides asking you to have faith and hope that there's more on the horizon that you can see right now. And whatever exercise or whatever you're going through that is requiring you to have a childlike innocence, it's really time to turn that over to Spirit, to really sort of kind of look through the top of your head and allow yourself to put up a beam, almost like think of it as you're beaming up the things that you want to experience here on the physical plane, and allowing your guides, your angels, and all those that watch over you to start to deliver those things. So often when we contemplate what we want, we don't really contemplate what's happening on the other side. So, for instance, if you all wanted to be in a relationship and it hasn't happened, and you feel like you've done the work to be ready for that relationship, you've got to remember the relationship, there may be someone else on the other side that's still doing some of their work to prepare to be the kind of partner that will be perfect for you in both their weaknesses and their strengths. All right, that's it, Sagittarius. We're going to go on to Capricorn. Oops. All right, Capricorn. First card is Akasha. The second card is Omega. The third card is Rosetta. Oh, and the final card is Opal. Capricorn, as I've started to tune into your energy as a collective, I remembered that Saturn is in its home sign of Capricorn, and it's been there since December and will continue to be there for the next 2 years. There's a lot that you will learn about being, I want to say yourself. I want to say it's about learning to recapture that part of you that is a little bit less practical, a little bit less adult. The very first card I got was Akasha, the spiritual teacher. And I don't think this is about y'all being spiritual teachers as much as I think you have something to learn from Spirit. And there's an opportunity, and here's Omega, about victory. But to me, that's not necessarily victory over a situation, a person, a dynamic, as much as it's sort of a victory in recapturing a zest for life. recapturing a sense of yourself that is shed the skin of the adult, of the should, of the dutiful one, of, because I've got Opal here. You got both the children cards, Capricorn. You know, you're so good, and you know, you've got such great leadership qualities. You're kind of dependable, and you know, I love Capricorn's energy. I've always, most of the guys I've ever dated have been Capricorns. But at some point, there is, what I'm hearing, at least for this week, is to just sort of shake it off, and to be a kid and play and get your feet dirty and muck it up a little bit. Muck it up. And in that, you'll learn something. I almost feel like you'll have some sort of inspired idea. If you feel stuck in any way, or you feel no movement in something, and you're trying to practically move your way through it, through playtime, through being dumb and stupid and laughing, and, you know, kids laugh until they tinkle in their pants or blow milk out their nose. You know, they're so silly. So I think you're supposed to adopt a little bit of that, and through that you'll find the solution of whatever you're looking for. All right, let's go on to Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. First card is Rochelle. Second card is Desiree. The third card is Aurora. And the final card is Francesca. So Rochelle in the foundational position, and I hate to do this, but I say it every time, she really gets my tail wagging. I love her because she tells me, as I honor and follow the guidance of my heart, prosperity is coming to me. But it's so much more than money. It feels like it's prosperity in a harmonious wealth feeling. So I'm thriving, I'm feeling balanced, and I'm feeling like all cylinders are firing in my emotional body, my physical body, my financial body, my intimate body, my family body, my physical body. You get where I'm going with this. All the facets of who I am. Now, it's interesting to me because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Desiree. Now, she's saying that conditions aren't favorable right now, and to look deeper into options before moving forward and to connect with spirit. Now, this is kind of counterintuitive because Aurora is here saying you're flying high right now, don't descend because others will soon be inspired by your example. And in the foundation, or in the final position, I have Francesca asking you to visualize on what you want, that negativity will block your progress. I think that there's the potential for Aquarius that there may be a pause in moving forward with what it is that you are dreaming for, because, or what you want to bring birth into this world, because there may not be alignment with the people or the place or the physical energetics right now. Let me see if I can say this more succinctly. I feel like there are dynamics right now in whatever dealings you've hatched, whatever you're contemplating, and you want to move forward. But there's something about that that isn't quite in alignment with making, you really getting where you want to go. So let me just throw out a random example. So let's say you want an investor for a new project of yours, and you really know that that person is not probably going to be the easiest person to deal with, but you really want them to invest because you want to move forward, but it's not happening. Let it not happen, because whatever would have been the challenge that you foresee but figure you can deal with it later, no. You let them go because they will soon be inspired by how you keeping your vision of what you want. Okay, Aquarius? I hope I made sense there. It made perfect sense in my head. All right, going on to Pisces. Our final sign. My little Lex is a Pisces. I say it every time. Oh, moment of quiet. I don't know if you guys can hear it over the... I try to shut all the windows and doors so you don't hear all the noise. All right, Pisces. Serafina is saying there's a happy change to your family. Francesca is saying, what do you want? Visualize that. Negativity will block your progress. Bridget's there. It's very interesting to me. Okay, so Pisces, you have very similar kind of dynamics to Aquarius. All right, I want to say this. Seraphina talks about a new addition to your family. She's holding a baby, and many of you may want to physically bring a baby into this world, or you may want to birth something into your own life. As a collective, again, I have to go a little bit broader with that birthing idea. Now here's Francesca saying, visualize what you want. Negativity will block your progress. And there's Bridget. It's a cautionary card, but it's about looking deeper into the situation. And here is Akasha. It's almost like you guys are getting the same dynamic as Aquarius, but a little bit in reverse. Focus in on the changes you want within your family, whether you're wanting to figure out dynamics with a parent that is in the age process, whether you're wanting to bring in a baby, a new pet, but know that the excitement of what you want in the way of how your family looks. I want you to trust that the shifts that you may make are for the bettering of your family, and to focus in on that. And if for some reason things aren't working out in the way you wanted them to, Spirit is actually teaching you something about an energetic dynamic. So Pisces, if you have, let's just say, I'm going to use the example of an aging parent, and you've been thinking about putting them in assisted living, and you thought, well, we really need to get them somewhere. It's important. This is we need to move this along. If there's been a pause, it's because Spirit is going to make sure that you put them in a place where they'll thrive, where they will enjoy this season of their life, where they will find camaraderie and connectedness. So I know that's kind of a weird random example. I don't know why they put that in my head, but I do think that there's something for you to learn about that. There's something for you to experience beyond just getting whatever the task, this situation is handled. I hope that made sense for y'all too. Again, this whole collective thing is kind of funny sometimes. All right, it's me, Teri Hunter. Again, I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, empowerment coach. If you'd like to book a private session with me, the information is below. You can reach me through my website, www.terihunter.com. That's TERIHUNTER.com. I also have my contact number if you'd like to text me or call me. All right, guys, have a great week. I'll be back on Monday with our Brave Heart Meditation Challenge. It's week 12, I believe. All right, guys, have a great weekend.